Here we go.
You're listening to Texas Real Estate with Todd Tramonte, brought to you by the Patrick Glaros Mortgage Team, Stryker Roofing, Nation's Home Warranty, DP Lambert with Goosehead Insurance, Evolution Moving, Backyard Workroom, Republic Title, Keen Landscaping, and Dandy Duck Cleaning. And now your host, real estate broker, consultant, and best-selling author, Todd Tramonte.
Welcome, folks. Welcome to the show. Hey, there is an unbelievable misconception in real estate right now. A massive mistake being repeated over and over and over. And what it comes down to is the asking price of properties. People across the spectrum of real estate, agents, brokers, buyers, sellers, are wildly off the mark on asking price. We'll talk about that as we make our way through the show. They're not always off the mark the same way, but there's a philosophy, there's a misunderstanding about asking prices, and it's getting, I would say, the majority of people, buyers, sellers, and investors in some trouble right now. Now, that trouble doesn't lead to total destruction for everybody, but it leads to massive financial mistakes for the majority of buyers and sellers and investors in this market. So we're going to talk about that as we make our way through the show. We'll also be taking your questions and comments as we make our way through the show. You can always find us on social media, just about anywhere, at Todd Tramonte or at Todd Tramonte Realtors. You can Google Todd Tramonte Home Selling Team, anything like that. And of course, online all the time at overunderagent.com. If you go to the website, you can search homes by any agent in the market. You can get your property value in under a minute. You can find out your home buyer readiness score and a bunch of other things, all at overunderagent.com. This first segment of the show is brought to you by Patrick Glaros and his team over at Cardinal Financial. Just about anything you need financially related, if there's a mortgage involved, you want to go to patrickglaros.com, talk to his team, and get it figured out. My wife and I have been referring to Patrick and his amazing team for more than 15 years. And you should do the same if you want to buy a house, if you want to buy a vacation home, if you want to buy a rental, an investment, you want to refinance, anything like that. Reach out to Patrick Glaros and his team at 972-728-3420 or online at patrickglaros.com. That's GLAROS, NMLS number 308804. That's patrickglaros.com. As we get through the show, you're going to hear from the English wonder himself, the Yanni Donnie. I'm sure there will be some football talk here before long. We've also got the young MG, producer extraordinaire, in studio. But I didn't want to delay. You know, I led the show. We talked a little bit about the misconceptions that are going in the market. We're going to get to that here shortly. Before we do that, I just want to give a big thank you to our listeners and our friends that contributed to the Peanut Butter and Jelly Drive this year. Every June, we do the PBJ Drive because we think it's ridiculous that there would be children, senior citizens, really anybody in North Texas that struggles to get their next meal. So we're still tallying our absolute final numbers from the June food drive, just finding out not only the amount of food, but the cash conversion. But at last check, it was over 7,000 meals that had been either donated through cash or through peanut butter and jelly. So thank you. Thank you, WBAP listeners. Thank you, DFW residents, friends, neighbors, clients of the Todd Tramonte Home Selling Team, first-time and loyal listeners. That's a big deal. It really is a big deal. Obviously, the more the merrier. We always want to collect more. We always want to support more. So if you have more to give, reach out to us and let us know. We'd be glad to help you just give that directly or find someone that really, really needs it. But thank you so much to everyone that contributed, and those of you that requested a free copy of The Ultimate Guide to Selling Your Home, How the Nation's Top Agents Break Records, the #1 Amazon best-selling book, written by agents all over the country and two of our very own here at the Todd Tramonte Home Selling Team. Those of you that donated more than $10 and requested a copy of the book, that digital copy of the book will be in your mailbox, in your inbox very soon if it's not already. So thanks for the contribution. If you would still like to grab a copy of the #1 best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Selling Your Home, How the Nation's Top Agents Break Records, you can get that on Amazon, Amazon.com. Just look that up. The Ultimate Guide to Selling Your Home. It's a very, very good read. And if you at any time have real estate needs here in DFW, just reach out to our team at overunderagent.com. We would be glad to put a free physical copy of that book in your hands whenever we get together. You can come into the office. We can jump on Zoom or connect otherwise. So all of that can happen online at overunderagent.com. Ian, we missed you last time. John stepped in. We talked a little bit about the book. Where the heck were you?
England, Todd. England. I wasn't in England. I was in an English pub, though, watching England, cheering on my fellow countrymen to victory over Germany last week.
That's right. We did have some delicious German foods here in the office, but we also cheered on England to a strong victory.
It was a pretty big deal. We hadn't beaten Germany in a knockout competition since 1966. That's 55 years, if my math is correct.
It's been a little while.
I would argue your countrymen are Americans.
Dual citizenship. Claim both.
To be clear, I don't think that math works out. Yeah. 1969, 55 years.
1966, 55 years.
Okay, that math does work out. Turns out my math was wrong, and I'm willing to admit it.
And then we played even better against the Ukraine, and we won 4-0. And we're not going to talk about everything else that's gone on since the Ukraine, but that was a pretty spectacular performance.
For those of you that don't know, nil means 0, and I'm here to help. I'm here to help, folks.
Thank you, my friend.
Mason filled in valiantly as well, helped us keep the trains on the tracks. If you'd like to see more of Mason's fancy work, you're going to want to check out the YouTube channel. You can find that by just going to overunderagent.com and clicking videos. What do you have for the folks, Mason?
Oh, me?
Yeah,
yes,
you.
We just shot a video about Frisco and why the reasons you would want to move to Frisco. All the people outside of Texas probably don't really have the context behind what makes Frisco so great and why it's become this population center of DFW.
What's crazy is I think a lot of people in DFW don't realize quite how expansive the growth of Frisco is, and that now Frisco is a commuter destination as opposed to a place people commute from. It's a place people are commuting to. It's growing at unbelievable rates. It's a good video to check out.
Side note on the England-Ukraine game, I almost won my brother a couple of £100.
Almost
because he asked me what he thought my expert advice would be for the score and scorer, first scorer. I told him Harry Kane 3-0. Harry Kane to score first. Harry Kane scored first. We were up 3-0. We scored a fourth. He lost.
Yeah.
Pounds of what?
Money.
Oh.
Pounds of
200 pounds of money.
Pounds of money.
And that's absolutely all we're gonna do in the world of soccer.
Way too much soccer
right now. But that's your football minute plus here on Texas Real Estate with Todd Tramonte.
Middlesbrough signed 4 people this week too.
And we're moving on. If you haven't yet got your hands on a copy of this book and you're even remotely thinking about selling your house anytime soon, you do want to grab a copy of The Ultimate Guide to Selling Your Home, How the Nation's Top Agents Break Records. And you can get that on Amazon right now, #1 bestseller. Or if you're interested in speaking with our team, just go to overunderagent.com. Or you can call us or text us at 214-310-0008. And when we sit down with you, one of our team members would be glad to hand you a copy of that book. And, of course, walk you and talk you through our 7-point proprietary system, which in a lot of ways is referenced in the book. If you're thinking about selling right now or you're thinking about buying, you're going to want to know one of the most dangerous misconceptions in the real estate market, and that is that asking price is the law. It's the rule, that it's super relevant. That is the misconception, right? So you have agents running around saying we're averaging 98.5% of list price. Or you have someone saying to you, oh man, we sold our house for $10,000 over asking price, or someone that says, hey, we bought this house $10,000 below asking price. Well, I'm here to tell you, and I've told you before, that asking price, for the most part, is irrelevant, is not relevant, is a distraction. Now, I know that's confusing because asking price is how we search for homes, right? So you might say my budget is $400,000 to $600,000. Well, you're going to look for homes based on the ones that are asking $400,000 to $600,000. So it's not completely irrelevant because it does help in that regard. I say it's mostly irrelevant because once you've established something is in the general ballpark, then you have to understand that most homeowners are almost picking a number out of thin air. They're basing it loosely on what a neighbor's home sold for. And sadly, most real estate agents are doing the exact same thing.
Well, one of the worst things we hear is when an agent would say to us, we will say, hey, how did you come up with the pricing on this? And the answer we get back, and it's so disheartening, is, well, that's what they thought it was worth.
That's what the client wanted.
It's what they thought it was worth.
Yeah, it's what they said or what they wanted or what they wanted to ask with no guidance or leadership or research or context or market knowledge. Even if it's just the comparable data, people who listen to this show know how dangerous it is to only run comps, to only compare 3 or 4 properties, because we talk about all the time how dangerous that is.
Well, we talk about the whole doctor-lawyer thing, right? Hey, right. How did you come up with that defense for that case that you're working on? Well, it's what the client wanted.
It's what the client wanted.
How did you decide on that surgery to do? Well, it's the one that they wanted.
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. And it's limited at best, even if there's some basis of logic to it. So the misconception in the current market, let's take it from a buyer perspective. A buyer might say, I don't want to buy that house because I'm going to have to pay $30,000 over asking. Well, if the asking price is really, really low, that might actually be a good deal. Or a seller might say, well, I expected to sell way over asking and I didn't, but they might have been asking so much, way too much, that is still a good deal. So just understand that numbers relative to asking price are really misleading because asking price is misleading. People can ask whatever they want. They could ask really high. They could ask really low. They could ask super accurate pricing. They can use all 9s because they feel better. They can use certain numbers because of cultural or faith-based connotations and confidence. But we've got a story from our team just a couple of days ago that will help illustrate this really, really well. You want to tell them the story, Ian?
Yeah, great story. So Ryan Morris on our team, this is one that Ryan helped. He had some clients. They found a property that was listed at $500,000. Now, him and Jeremy did some research. Ryan called Jeremy and said, "Hey, I'm looking at this. I feel like it's really low price. Would you mind taking a look too? Just tell me if I'm crazy." So they both looked at it and they both agreed it was worth at least $600,000. So $100,000 less it was listed at. They actually got it under contract for $50,000 over the asking price, so $550,000. But the clients understood they actually got it for way under what it was actually worth. So they turned in a full appraisal waiver knowing that there was never going to be an issue with appraisal. They won the property out of 10 other offers because of how much they offered over. So the sellers are really excited because they got over, but our buyers are excited because they got it under what it's worth. The lender actually told them, confirmed the value of the property, and then told them that they weren't even going to need to order an appraisal because they got it so much under the value. So because of that, they were even able to close 2 weeks earlier than what they initially said they'd be able to close. That's such a great story.
Well, and there's so much to it to break it down. And the reason we tell these stories here on Texas Real Estate is because we want our friends, neighbors, listeners in DFW to know what's actually happening out in the market every day. Our team at the Todd Tramonte Home Selling Team will sell a couple hundred houses this year. And so we're getting to see what are buyers doing? What are they getting? What are sellers willing to do? What are appraisers up to? How are the banks acting? And so we can give you real-time stories so that you can know what's realistic and what's possible for you. So there's a lot to this. And I want to break it down a little bit right after this.
Yeah, let me tell you about Goosehead Insurance really quickly. I actually called DP a couple weeks ago. We got a new vehicle, so I gave him a call on the way home from the dealership to let him know, hey, new car, need to make sure this gets insured. Let's go ahead and take the old car off. It was all done within 24 hours. One of the people from his office gave me a call, got the details, took care of everything, sent it via DocuSign. Great rate. They shopped around for me. They did everything they need to do. We got some money back because of the prorated stuff. So good at communicating. DP handled everything for me, just like he always has done, just like he does for Todd and for Mason and for so many other people here in the office.
Yep.
You can reach out to DP. You can email him at dp.lambert. It's LAMBERT, dp.lambert@goosehead.com, or call him at 214-838-5684.
You're listening to Texas Real Estate with Todd Tramonte, and we were telling a little story about what's realistic out in the Dallas-Fort Worth real estate market, and a story about Ryan on our team who helped a buyer pay $50,000 over asking price, but easily buy a property for at least $50,000 below its current actual value.
Yep.
So there's a lot of things I want to break down about the story just to communicate why asking price is irrelevant, and how with a great agent and a great strategy, even in this crazy seller's market, and it is a seller's market, buyers can get great deals. It is possible. Now, a lot of people are going to tell you that it's not possible, and a lot of real estate agents are going to tell you that to get a house right now, you've got to overpay. Well, that's not what happened here. They paid $50,000 over the asking price. If the story ended there, you would think they overpaid.
Just another one that overpaid.
But one thing about this that's a big deal is that Ryan paused before he advised his client and made the offer. He did the research, and he came to the conclusion, I really think this house is underpriced. Then, because he's part of a team with other experts, other professionals, other resources, he was able to make a quick phone call and have another full-time, dedicated, educated, fully focused expert do some research completely on his own. And he came to almost the exact same conclusion and said, wow, I think this thing's at least $50,000 at least $100,000 underpriced. They're asking $500,000. I think it's worth at least $600,000. So you could go in and offer quite a bit more than $500,000 and still be below $600,000. And they ended up right in the middle. That's not normally how we do it, but it ended up right in the middle. Offered $550,000. The seller's thinking, oh my gosh, I got $50,000 more than I was asking.
So is the agent.
And the agent who didn't do their research adequately, or maybe they planned this all along and didn't care about money. I don't know. And then the bank comes along, does what they call a kind of a lookup or a preliminary numbers. And then they said, hey, we don't even need to send the appraiser out. We can already tell the value is way over what you're paying. So you don't even need an appraisal. And now the underwriters are like, well, if we don't need to evaluate that, we're basically ready. They closed 2 weeks early, saved at least $50,000 off the value of a home in this current market, which no one thinks is possible, and did it all with kind of a smile on their face, got their house faster than they otherwise would, beat out 9 or 10 other offers. Well, I mean, what more do you want?
You could say it was a win-win for everybody, except for the fact that we actually won.
Except for the fact that the sellers don't know how much money they left on the table, and the agent probably doesn't either, right? And it's kind of like an ignorance is bliss
so
situation.
They feel like they won.
Right. And that's where you're hearing these stories from your neighbors and on social media and on the news. You know, oh, we sold for $30,000 over. This is so great. We don't need an agent, or we don't need a great agent, or whatever. And look, more power to them. They're happy with their outcome. I'm not judging that. I just know how it's working in the real world, that a lot of those sellers are leaving money on the table. A lot of those agents are not helping their sellers out as well as they could. And a lot of buyers don't truly know the value of the home they're buying. All they know is what was being asked. And then later they might know the appraisal value, which a lot of times is sort of dictated by what was being asked or what was on the contract. It doesn't mean the appraiser is just following that, but the appraiser knows that's the bar I need to meet or beat or whatever.
That's where I'm trying to get to.
Yeah. Or that's, I'm either over or under that, as opposed to what is the true, genuine, unbiased value of the property. And so asking price can be wildly misleading because you can ask whatever you want. I tell you right now, if Mason said to me, hey, Todd, put my house on the market, I don't care. Let's just experiment. And I said $5 million. We could do that. I could also say $10,000 and we could do that. And one of those numbers would be way too high and one of those numbers would be way too low.
I'll give you $5,000 right now, Mason.
But there's no system that says that the asking price has to be researched or accurate. It's data entry. Type it in and see what happens. Yep. And so a lot of agents are almost that lazy about it.
In the same way that Ryan took great care of his clients and went over and above, did the research, you want to make sure that you have a home warranty company that's going to treat you the same way. And for us, we trust HomeServe. HomeServe.com. They used to be Nation's Home Warranty. They're now HomeServe Home Warranty. They take great care of our clients. They make sure that they get the job done. They communicate really, really clearly. And for us, that's really important when we're recommending somebody. So for you, you should go and get some more information from them. So go get some details. Go to HomeServe.com. HomeServe.com, and you can find out all the information right there.
Yeah, we have a question here. It's actually from Phil McGuire. When do you expect the real estate market to, quote, correct and prices to come back down, or are current prices here to stay? And I really like the way he worded this question. The answer is I don't expect prices to come down at all, right? So the question is, when do I expect prices to come back down? That's how a lot of people ask it because they feel like the surge in pricing is temporary.
Right.
And I'm here to tell you it's not. Now, I don't know the future. I just don't. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I'm really confident in the data that I watch that is accurate as opposed to sort of the shock and all, get your attention data. But I do not think that current price appreciation levels will maintain forever. So what that means is I don't think that prices will continue to go up at the same rate forever. Obviously that will change. They might go up even faster at some point, but they will probably slow down, potentially level off. There might be some point in the future where prices dip a little in certain areas, but I don't think we are headed towards a massive price correction of any kind. I don't think you're going to see 5-10% price drops. I think you might sometime in the future see some things flatten out, or you might see one part of town take a dip due to something crazy, but I think that stuff is really far out. I do not think there's any impending near term coming around the corner dip. And we'll talk more about that.
I was going to say, stay with us for the second half, Phil, because we're going to talk about some of the market data that just came out that we got from our team, from an analyst that we work with. It's some really interesting stuff.
Yeah, but I want folks to know about Dandy Duct Cleaning. It's Dandy Duct, D-U-C-T, dandyductcleaning.com. They're doing a free hospital-grade misting. They basically fog your entire heating and air conditioning system. 99.9% of all the bacteria, germs, viruses, all that nasty stuff gets killed. Go to dandyductcleaning.com. Check them out, dandyductcleaning.com. Remember, folks, we only introduce you to recommended professionals because they've done a great job for us and our clients. So check out Patrick Glaros Mortgage Team, Stryker Roofing, Nation's Home Warranty, DP Lambert with Goosehead Insurance, Evolution Moving, Dandy Duct Cleaning, Backyard Workroom, Republic Title, and Keen Landscaping. We'll be right back with more Texas Real Estate on WBAP. Here we go.
Welcome back to Texas Real Estate with Todd Tramonte, brought to you by the Patrick Glaros Mortgage Team, Dandy Duct Cleaning, Republic Title, DP Lambert with Goosehead Insurance, and Nation's Home Warranty. And now your host, Todd Tramonte.
Well, welcome back, folks. Welcome back to Texas Real Estate. We've got the full studio here. when we went to the break, we were telling stories about how asking price, what a home seller asks for their house, the price on the internet is almost always wrong and almost always irrelevant. And so if you didn't catch the first half of the show, you might want to check that segment out on our YouTube channel this week because it's a winner. And it's my segment. Of course, I think it's good. I'm telling you, if you're thinking about buying and selling and you didn't catch that, you need to know that information. So go to overunderagent.com, just click videos on that top tab, and you can go see excerpts from past radio shows for years and years and years now. The first segment of the show is always brought to you by Patrick Glaros and his team over at Cardinal Financial. Check them out at patrickglaros.com. That's Glaros, patrickglaros.com for all of your mortgage needs. NMLS number 308804. Just do what my wife and I do. If you got mortgage needs, go to patrickglaros.com. They're reliable. They help educate you through the process. They're good, quality, honest, hardworking people. patrickglaros.com. Now, we also talked about what the heck is happening data-wise. Where's the needle moving on data? How many homes are on the market? How much inventory? We call that absorption rate, the way we look at it. At what rate are buyers absorbing, taking the current inventory off of the table? And then there's some other key statistics that I want to share with you and then help you understand and interpret as a buyer, as a seller, as an investor, but also as a property owner that's not planning to go anywhere. I've had hundreds of conversations already this summer with people that are sort of sitting on some uncertainty. And tell me, Ian or Mason, if you guys have heard any of this just in your circles, where it's like, we kind of thought about selling because we feel like our house is worth so much, but I don't know where I would go.
Yep.
But I would go if I could get this.
Yeah.
Or I would go if we could be by that, but it doesn't seem like there's anything out there. Or if I find it, it's like so expensive, I'd rather just stay. And sometimes that's the right choice. But there's just this chatter around, I don't know if I'm silly or foolish for not taking advantage of this seller's market, but I also don't know if it would be wise or greedy or, so I'd love to hear what's the chatter that you guys are hearing.
Yeah, that's Jeremy's story too on our team. He wants to move, but literally cannot find the thing that they want to move into. It just doesn't exist right now. And there's plenty of other people I know that are asking me that same question, just like, hey, this is what we want to do. Does this exist right now for what we're looking for? And I think the reality is, for a lot of folks, it doesn't. And if it does, they're having to compete with so many people. And so, we're trying to help them think through different options, whether that's doing a 2-year flip type of thing or whatever that looks like. I've had several friends that have come out of a rental situation to purchase their first home in this market, which a lot of people are probably thinking that's insane. They should have waited. But the reality is, if they waited, they would be paying even more money.
If they waited, the time was right. They would keep waiting longer and longer and longer because the price keeps. Someone who's saving to buy their first house, as you wait, the gap widens between you and the affordable first home. So that doesn't mean everyone should just go buy. There's certainly situations where you're not financially ready to do that. You buy or sell or invest when you, your family, and your finances are ready. That's my rule. Now, you don't have to follow my rule, but that's a rule we put into place years ago to protect clients, right?
It's a pretty good rule.
Well, we get paid when people buy and sell. So, it's in our interest to always say, buy now, sell now, but that's not always what's best for people. So we don't always tell people that.
I had a conversation with a really good friend of mine, and I told him that, and his reaction was like, what?
Just
like
relief,
that doesn't make
usually.
any sense. Yeah. Like, we got into this house that we now don't really like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, because the realtor that we were working with at the time was basically telling us, this is as good as you're going to get, so you might as well go ahead and do it. And it didn't feel right then, and it definitely doesn't feel right now, because they're wanting to sell it,
right,
but they can't get into what it was that they wanted 3 years ago because the prices have gone up so dramatically. And
all the
it's
time.
just so sad when you hear that.
All the time. Yep. And just back to your story about Jeremy, obviously he's #1 best-selling author, one of the top agents in all of DFW and in the entire country, as a lot of our team members are. And he knows enough not to make one of the dumb mistakes that people are making. And so his posture right now is one of patience. Not that he's, excited about it, but he's willing to be patient to not make a big mistake. And that's where you need to be. That's what the market data points towards is, okay, you can win on both the sell side and the buy side. But in order to do so, you need to have a great agent broker team leading and guiding you. And you need to be willing to be patient. But sometimes it's patient, strike really fast, right?
Yeah.
Patient, get that house under contract and sell your house. So you just can't do that winging it. You can't do that with an amateur agent. You can't even do it with a seasoned agent without a great strategy or without a great, tools, resources, systems, and staff. Sometimes we get angry calls or emails from the radio show when an agent's like, you threw the rest of our industry under the bus because not everybody does it your way. Well, that's never my intention, ever.
Well, and people will also, you'll hear us say, we're not telling you this is the one and only way to do things. It's the way we believe is the best way.
I'm happy to say, though, it is the way that I believe is the best way to do it. And we aren't the only people that do business this way. We're the only people that do it exactly the way we do it. But we're not the only people that would say a solo individual agent who's either newer or part-time or not hyper expertise oriented can do a good job, but they can't. It's hard, very hard for them to do an exceptional job. If you want to see a house and there's only one agent and they have another client, they can't show two people houses at the same time in different places and different houses. It's just the team, the resources, the expertise, the training it's just better. Now, again, I'm not bad-mouthing any individual. I'm sure there are some individual agents out there doing it really well. I coach and consult for agents. Now, they're not truly individuals. They have virtual staff or part-time staff or support staff in-house. They may be the only quote-unquote realtor or agent, but they have the resources and support around them to deliver world-class value. The point we're making here is the data we're about to share with you would point to you wanting or needing a great agent and great strategy. But if you have that, you really can sell at the top of the market with minimal drama, buy below market value with minimal drama, buy, sell, move, and really love where you are, all while making a leap forward financially.
Yeah. So let's look at some of the data from, let's go with Plano, okay? So I'm going to give you, these are going to be in $99,999 increments. They are going to go from $300 to $399,999, and then they're going to go from $4 to $499, and so on, all the way up to $7 to $799. This is how much inventory we have right now in Plano, beginning with the 300s, 0.5 months.
Okay, so that's
2 weeks.
That's 1/2 of 1 month of available inventory at the rate that buyers are currently buying.
If no new houses came on the market, we would run out of homes in that price range in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Right? The next jump up, 0.7. What's that? 2.4 weeks?
Yeah, not quite 3 weeks.
Then 0.7, 0.8. Ready? Here we go. 700 to 799,999. 2 months. We got a little bit of inventory right there.
Still a rampant seller's market. You're looking for 5 to 7, 4 to 6 months for a stable, balanced market where buyers and sellers have similar leverage. We're nowhere near that anywhere.
Let me give you Richardson. Ready? All right. We're going to start with the same numbers. 300 to 399,999. 0.6.
It's a little higher across the board.
You get a couple extra days in Richardson. 0.7. 0.4. That's tough in the 500. Nope, that's in the 400. Then you've got 1.3 months, 1.6 months.
At the millions.
And then 700 to a million. I'm sorry, 700 to 1.1 million does not exist.
Yep, there's just no inventory.
0.
Okay, so real quick, don't bail because of the data. Here's what all that means. It's still a crazy seller's market. I think that was 8 crazies maybe. It's still all the way pegged the needle on the seller side of the market. Sellers have the leverage.
Unless you're looking in Saxby Wiley Murphy in the 800 to 900,000 range, you've got a year.
But that's a misnomer, and I was going to actually get to that. There's a few little pockets where you're like, oh man, there's 9 months of inventory. There's 15 months of inventory. The reality is what you have is not enough data for accuracy, right?
Correct.
You're like, oh, there's an area where there's just not that many $1 million homes, and there's 3 on the market and 2 sell per year. So you've got a year and a half of inventory, but those homes might still sell in 21 days or 42 days or something like that and get huge pricing. It's just they're skewed by the rate. That's what that really is the rate of absorption.
Yeah, and we're not going to read you all of them, but I mean, I just looked in Dallas, Fort Worth, all across the board. Pretty much everything is 1.5 months or less, most of which on that under $1 million is less than a month.
Right. And when you look at market data for something as big and broad as Dallas or Fort Worth or worse, DFW, there's so many outliers and unbelievable data that you're going to find this kind of inaccurate average because North Dallas and West Dallas are completely different communities. When you average them together, it makes almost no sense. Yep. So that's why we try to give you Plano, Richardson, Keller, Aledo, Benbrook, Southlake, Frisco, Prosper, Wiley, specific data. And of course we can zero it down to a street or a block or a zip code if we need to. If you want more data like that, we could actually send you a monthly market report. We do. Just go to overunderagent.com and there's a page on the website there where you can just say, yes, sign me up. I want a market report every single month, and we'd be glad to do that. If all else fails, just go to overunderagent.com and contact us, and we'll chat with you and let you know. I do want to let you know about Republic Title as well. Title companies matter. In the state of Texas, title companies are where people close out and settle up the buying, selling, financing of real estate typically. You need them in order to ensure the chain of ownership, the history of ownership, and you need them to work out the terms of the contract. They're sort of the neutral third party that works out who pays who and when and on what date and who gets the survey and who pays for this and all these kind of complicated things. They are the neutral third party that makes that work. Republic Title does an exceptional job, and they've done an exceptional job for a long, long time across the Metroplex. When you're buying or selling, talk to your real estate agent about using Republic Title. You can go check them out right now and use a lot of their tools around calculating closing costs and things like that at republictitle.com. Again, republictitle.com.
We've got couple weeks until I think some school districts start going back. We've got a little bit longer until a couple more, but no more than a month. What does the real estate market generally do over this next month, middle of July through middle of August or end of August, if you want to go that far?
Yeah, no, it's a good question that I don't think enough people ask. They don't recognize that in Texas, back to school is actually one of the most noticeable market movers that we have. We don't have wild, crazy winters. We don't have some of the factors that other parts of the country have, but we do have an obsession with the school calendar and how that dictates fall sports, fall calendars, summer schedules, things like that. So when you get to, say, the late first week of August through late third week of August, regardless of whether you have children at all or have children in school, back to school is a thing, right? We have this tax-free shopping weekend that's really oriented towards back to school. The school zones, literally the lights and the speed limits start to change. Your commute to work gets longer maybe. People start coming back to work and taking fewer vacations. The week leading up to that, everyone takes that last vacation or kind of zones out, isn't working as hard as some people would like them to be, and then the weeks after that, people are kind of refiguring out their schedule in life, right? So it is this disruptor, and it draws people's energy and attention away from lots of other things, including buying and selling homes. It's a great time to buy because sellers are potentially less confident. You have less buyers to compete with, less offers to compete with, easier to get showing requests and access. So it's a little blip of opportunity for buyers. a seller who is being led well by a great agent will be told, hey, don't worry, don't freak out, don't lose confidence. But no, it's a very real thing. The first few weeks of August have what we typically call like just the energy and the attention of the market dips a little bit. Values don't necessarily dip. The market as a whole doesn't negatively do anything. You just see the whole momentum kind of stall out. It's like we're right now in 6th gear. We might shift down into 5th or 4th for 3 weeks. And then I predict it's going to go right back to 6th gear, pedal to the metal.
Do you feel as though that's still going to be the case even in this market right now, where we just read the numbers? Like, there's no houses out there. Like, do you
Yes.
think sellers, security of sellers' confidence is really going to dip when, why would it? There's no houses
So
to
the
sell.
answer is yes. Now, it might go from a level 10 confidence to a 9.5. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden people get desperate. We're not in that kind of market. But if you're a buyer, the difference in 9.5 and 10 is noticeable because it's been hovering from 9.9 to 10 for a couple of years right now, right? So if you can get someone from a level 10 confidence down to a 9.5, maybe you save $3,000. Maybe you get a house you wouldn't otherwise get. I mean, as a buyer in this market, for a lot of people, that's all you can ask for. So Let me ask you this. If you're a seller and you put your house on the market late July and for some reason it doesn't sell immediately, but you get 10 showings one week and the next week you get 2, would that cause you to think what's going on?
Yeah, for sure. You'd be wondering, like, why is this happening? Absolutely.
And that's what back to school can do for a lot of people in our market. But we referenced Jeremy on our team earlier, and we were able just to kind of hook him and pull him into the studio as he walked by the glass wall here. Jeremy, as a real estate expert in the market, by the way, as a #1 best-selling author, my good sir, we were talking about how you don't have to share anything you don't want, but someone who's thinking about moving right now, even with all of the expertise and awareness and data and access you have, you're having to be very careful about asking price and is that even accurate, and selling and buying at the same time. And we were just talking about the thought process at that level of awareness compared to what most people are dealing with. Any thoughts or comments?
Yeah, thanks, Todd. Thanks for having me in. It's been a crazy whirlwind for my family and I. We've been looking for a while now, and it is way less casual and relaxed and enjoying as I think a lot of buyers expect, and as it's been for a long time. I remember when we first bought our house, several years ago. It was fun. We got to go and explore and kind of spend a weekend thinking about houses. Even in a really good market, it was just kind of like, what do you think? Should we make an offer? Should we come in at asking, a little bit above, below? And now it can be stressful, right? I mean, there is, even as someone who has access to a lot of the data, it is a big decision. We're paying, all-time highs for just about every home that's being sold right now.
Why would you do that? As someone as smart as you are with all the data who sells 40, 50 houses a year by yourself, why would you pay all-time high price?
Yeah, I mean, I believe right now, first off, I am selling a house as well. And so I'm going to get a great sale price for that. But I believe that we are super secure when it comes to the real estate market in DFW. I see this as a place where even if something happens negatively in America, whether it be economical or with the stock market, I believe we are fairly protected here, right? We've got people moving here constantly. It's cheaper to live here. Corporations are here. There's more jobs. There's more and more opportunities here in Texas and in
So
DFW.
you feel good about buying in future values. And what I was saying earlier was, one of the most important strategies is the ability to be patient. You said you guys have been in this process for a year-ish, and what's protected you is the confidence that you can sell because you've got our 7-step proprietary system. You wrote a book about it, The Ultimate Guide to Selling Your Home, How the Nation's Top Agents Break Records. Gosh, I guess that makes you one of the nation's top agents right there on the book, right there on the back. You and John. #1 Amazon bestseller. Go get a copy on Amazon right now. Or if you want a hard copy in your hot little hands, go to overunderagent.com, schedule some time to meet with Jeremy or John or one of our team members, and we'll put a copy of that in your hand. Maybe Jeremy will even sign it for you. But I think the takeaway for you is you've got this system wired. You lead people through the system. So you're not worried about selling. Now, we told the story earlier about how you helped Ryan with a buyer who bought a house from a seller who felt really good. They got $50,000 over asking price, but we just told everyone they probably sold it 50 to 80, maybe more, under what it was actually worth. So you've got this sense of confidence in your sell side, but patience on the buy side to hopefully get into a situation like that. But what are you telling your sellers when they want to sell and buy so they can find something like that too?
Yeah, for sure. And I think the patience, to your point, is huge, because a lot of times and a lot of people would have gotten so stressed out at this point that they've missed out on a couple offers or not enough homes are popping on the market that they would have gotten frustrated and either made a bad decision and overpaid to be done with it, or totally forgotten the process and said, you know what, I'm going to just go back to renting and wait. And sometimes those things make sense, but in this case, for us, it doesn't. And I think a lot of people, it's the same way if you have that patience. But what I'm telling sellers right now is, with a strategic marketing plan, with taking the right steps up front, we can capitalize on the market. We can use the low interest rates, the high demand to get record-breaking sales. That's nothing new. We've been doing that for years now, whether it's been a market like this or not. But it's most important for me to tell my sellers that if the timing makes sense, if it is the right time for you to sell, then this is a great time, right? Like, I don't think playing the market and trying to wait to sell at the highest moment is going to be the right strategy. If it makes sense now, sell. If it makes sense to wait a year for you and your family and your finances, then let's talk about that. And let's figure out what you can do between now and then so that you have a
and you're living it out. So it's such an authoritative example that that's what you've done. You've been patient and you will win on both sides of the deal. I love it. By the way, you can learn more about that by grabbing a copy of the book, The Ultimate Guide to Selling Your Home, How the Nation's Top Agents Break Records. Check it out on Amazon, or just go to overunderagent.com and one of our Todd Tramonte home selling team members will schedule some time to talk to you and meet with you. I'd be glad to get you a copy of that. Keen Landscaping has done 4 of my closest friends' entire landscapes lately, and I've been to their houses, swimming in their pools, hanging out this summer, and every time it's one of those recommendations I feel really good about when I can say, hey, call Keen. Then I can go to your house and see their work and enjoy your backyard and see the pride you have in your home because of it. So if you need to do any sort of new landscaping, replace plants that have been killed by the heat or the cold or any of that, even if you're designing ground up with a pool and everything, go to keenlandscaping.com. That's Keane, keenlandscaping.com.
Yep, and let me tell you about Dandy Duct Cleaning really quickly too. I'm not going to lie, a little skeptical before I had them out. They have been fantastic. Yep. It has made a difference in our home. Even right now, I'm struggling with allergies like today, but I know that it's not as bad as it has been in previous years. And I'm fairly certain, I know, it's because of the work that the guys over at Dandy Duct Cleaning did. Stefano, Addison, Forrest, all of the folks over there, they came in, they cleaned out all our ducts, they made it so clean, they showed me everything that came out of them. It was a lot of stuff over the last 20 plus years. The home was built in 2000. So there's a lot of stuff over there. They did the hospital grade antibacterial misting. That was free. That's for all of our listeners, all of our friends. Make sure you tell them that you are a friend of the show when you reach out to them. Go to dandyductcleaning.com. dandyductcleaning.com, especially if you have allergies. This is something that really can make a difference for you. dandyductcleaning.com.
If you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, don't wait. Whatever your timeline, go to overunderagent.com. Reach out to our team. We'll talk to you on the phone. We can jump on Zoom. We can meet you in the office. We'll give you a copy of the book, buy you a cup of coffee, whatever you're into, and talk about your needs and your timeline. No rush, but please don't wait to the last minute. Go to overunderagent.com. Remember, folks, we only recommend professionals that we have had a great experience with or our clients. So go check out Patrick Glaros Mortgage Team, Nation's Home Warranty, DP Lambert with Goosehead Insurance, Republic Title, and Dandy Duct Cleaning. Find them all online at overunderagent.com. We'll be back next week, 3 p.m., right here on WBAP.